Hello, this is Issues of the Day. I'm Frederick Wakliaka. The issue of today is um, cybersecurity safety issues in Africa. We have we have we have we have problems with ICT integration. When you integrate ICT or develop some capabilities in the sphere of information technology, then you also experience the problems that the advanced users of ICT systems are experiencing. For instance, we have we have 7 countries in Africa that have are the more advanced in ICT. So these countries happen to have a lot of issues with regarding bad actors, criminal elements, and also there is also state 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 actors involved in this cyber related issues. I'm going to discuss the Ethiopia. We had the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia. The Renaissance Dam was is a project which affects 3 African countries geopolitically. These countries try to bestride the Blue Nile. Ethiopia happens to be part of these countries that the Blue Nile flows through. Now, Egypt and Sudan also enjoy the Nile waters, but Egypt has the vast part, the whole of Egypt is traversed by the Nile, and the Nile is the lifeblood of the Egyptian society. It derives all its water source from the Nile for the people and for agricultural purposes. This is a national security and vital to the survival of the Egyptian nation. Ethiopia comes into the picture. It also shares the Nile water, the Blue Nile, but um, it actually is it actually is using the waters of the Nile, harnessing them for hydropower. The hydropower project in Ethiopia is called Renaissance Dam, and the capacity of this dam is um, planned 4.6 billion 4.6 billion um, gigawatts. So this project is apparently being used, which it will to industrialize, to give Ethiopia power for industrialization, powering the people's homes. It is a good it's a good it's a good idea and a good project, but there is also the fears of Egypt have to be assuaged. Ethiopia is pushing ahead and wants to 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 finish this project as soon as possible because it's a national priority and they have spent a lot of money and resources have been uh, pumped into this dam project. For Egypt, they have they want a guarantee from Ethiopia that Ethiopia is going ensure that a certain level, the dam waters do not slip below a certain level. They have their request is uh, they want a commitment from Ethiopia. They sit down and this a legally sounding commitment that the waters are not going to drop to a dangerous level which will affect Egypt's water supply. But Ethiopia has not um, is not agreed to. So far, they have failed to sit down and come to a formal agreement. So Ethiopia is forging ahead with building the dam, and this is bringing about tensions between the two countries, such that in 2020, the Ethiopian government websites, uh, excuse me, the Ethiopian government websites were defaced by a group calling itself uh, Cyber Horus. There was a message which was displayed on the on the screens of the of the computers, and it stated that if the river levels drop, let all the pharaohs soldiers hurry and return only after the liberation of the Nile, restricting its flow. To prepare the Ethiopian people for the wrath of the pharaohs, the text was displayed on numerous government websites and an image of a skeleton pharaoh. This was on the dates of the 19th and 20th of June 2020. Now, Ethiopian authorities attributed the attack to an Egyptian group called Cyber Horus, who also claimed responsibility for the attack with the objective making a statement. So this this brings us to the wider issues of cyber safety and security of African nation states. So, as we have seen, while there was current, you could not really know whether there was any known link between the Egyptian hacking group Cyber Horus and the Egyptian government. Using cyber means to influence and put pressure on Ethiopia by the Egyptian government could not be rolled out, especially if negotiations continue to fail, as they have. It should also be noted that the cyber warfare strategy of taking down government services and websites has been used before and was in fact one of the very first cyber warfare attacks in history when Russia attacked Estonia in 2007, dismantling banking services, media. If there is anything to be learned from um, diplomatic tussles and global security issues, the, we have seen and we are continuing to see US, China, Russia, Israel, Iran as the main advanced countries who have used are using and have used cyber cyber attacks as a means of projecting their national interests. For instance, there was the Stuxnet virus that affected Iran's nuclear program. There was Natanz nuclear power site was affected by this Stuxnet virus, which was implanted through a thumb drive. It disabled Iran's nuclear program for a good period of time. So Iran also has come of age and advanced its own cyber abilities and is using them as it was as they were used against it. So, in the in this aspect, not only pa- is uh, is it a perfect tool for states that are unsure whether cyber attacks and cyber war, uh, it it can be a good way of achieving a political objective. It is also great for states who want to coerce another state without the intention of escalating a conflict to a conventional armed conflict. The use of offensive cyber capabilities by states remains a gray area in international law, as there is no agreement yet whether the meaning of force under Article 2.4 of the UN Charter is broad enough to encompass cyber attacks. Another reason why cyber warfare is growing more attractive to both state and non state actors is the difficulty in confidently attributing an attack to an actor, including the ease with which false flags can be used by an adversary to carry out cyber attacks. Determining a location on the internet from which commands or actions come from depends on the IP address of the computers. So, unfortunately, an attacker can obfuscate their IP address. Their IP can their IP address. Mm, Now, let's Africa's preparedness for cyber attacks. Um, we are not as Africa is not as prepared as the other advanced countries are, the developed countries. When we look at Africa's preparedness for cyber attacks, the above analysis begs the question whether African states are prepared and are able to defend against this new form of force or warfare. The use of the use the ease at which government services agencies and their websites are attacked and defaced in Africa points to unpreparedness. Even what makes their plight more serious is their inability to respond to attacks in a timely manner. It's it's been more than a decade now since the first politically motivated cyber attack with the intent of dismantling the nation's services and economy through the attack of government information systems was carried out in Estonia by Russia. Yet, African government systems and websites continue to be dismantled or defaced. Africa is the poorest inhabited continent at the moment, but at the same time, the world's fastest growing um, prospects of being the world's fastest growing economic area. Africa depends on information and communications technology infrastructure to deliver the economic ambitions it desires for today and the future. Because of very low road density and up to 66% unbanked adults, according to World Bank statistics, the continent depends on ICT infrastructure to deliver health services, banking, communication, education resources, and government services. Most countries in Africa have turned to e-government services to bridge the gap. So the positive impact digitization has had is that the unbanked adults in 2017, dropped to 57%, all, all due to mobile money and finance technologies, fintech. In Kenya, for example, where up to 50% of adults use digital payments and mobile money services, like M-Pesa, it is not difficult to imagine a scenario where cyber attacks target the infrastructure supporting digital finance and banking with the intention to sabotage and shut it down. Even less difficult to imagine is the harm and disruption that such an attack will cause, including physical harm and death, since critical services like healthcare are sometimes paid for with mobile money, and most times a patient must pay for their treatment before doctors can treat the patient. If a cyber attack was launched and successful by a nation state, it would be considered an act of war. But regardless of whether the attack is state sponsored or carried out by a terrorist organization, the impact to the economy and psychological impact to the society would be severe. This underscores why effective security and cyber resilience is critical for the continent's continued economic development and security. There have been numerous other incidents of cyber attacks targeting countries' critical infrastructure and services on the continent. For instance, in 2019, Kenya's Integrated Financial Management System, IFMS, Judicial Service Commission, and the Immigration Department, Kenya Meat Commission, Petroleum Ministry, and Refugee Affairs were among 18 government websites that were attacked. On the same day by an Indonesian group called CAD Electronic Team, who left their logo on the pages of the hacked website before the websites were taken down by government responders. This event occurred 2 years after the Agency Communications Authority of Kenya, meant to protect all Kenya government systems and services, had its websites hacked and defaced. This was not the first time non-state actors were targeting government services and officials in Kenya. In January 2012, an Indonesian hacker brought down 103 websites in one night. In July 2013, a Gaza hacking team breached the website of the Central Bank of Kenya, and in July 2014, the Latin America-based anonymous cell Anon_OX03 hacked and took over Twitter accounts operated by Kenya Defense Forces and the Deputy President's accounts. In the 2019 Kenyan attacks, the state was quicker to respond and take the websites offline. It did so within 24 hours, although it is unclear how long it took for resumption of services. In South Africa, a more recent cyber attack in June 2020 aimed at Life Healthcare affected the hospital's admission systems, business processing systems, and email servers. It shows just how vulnerable Africa's most critical infrastructure is. This followed two prior attacks on other South African critical infrastructure in 2019. In October 2019, the city of Johannesburg fell victim to a ransomware attack, which saw its website and billing system shut down. Earlier, but that same year, the city's electricity distribution company, City Power, also suffered a ransomware attack which left city residents without electricity. The attack affected customers' ability to buy prepaid electricity and the company's ability to respond to localized blackouts. If a map of all cyber attacks in Africa were to be profiled, it will show that the countries most advanced in the use of ICT infrastructure for critical services in the society are the most attacked. Countries at the top of the list are South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, Ghana, Mauritius, and Rwanda. It is therefore important that as countries roll out e-government strategies, digitize the banking and some financial sectors to bring the unbanked population into the money economy and make cities smart. They must commit national resources and budget proportional to the criticality of the infrastructure, services, and access to the country's economy and livelihood. Regulations are required to ensure operators of such infrastructure keep them secure and take responsibility. Cameroon is a good example of this, where a repository containing good safety practices for the implementation and deployment of secure websites, including the monitoring of .cm websites with the aim of detecting websites engaged in illegal activity, have been developed. In addition, Cameroon has passed laws that require operators of ICT infrastructure to secure them and make the operators responsible for the infrastructure security, with heavy fines if such responsibilities are not met. While more needs to be done in Cameroon, especially with regards to implementation, this is a good place for African countries to start. The military and defense technology industry in Africa recognizes the has, has has to be reorganized to develop a minimum defensive cyber capabilities. But only few countries are doing something about it. Historically, African militaries have been and continue to fight insurgent groups, rebel groups, transnational terrorism, and crime cartels. It is expected that these conflicts will develop into hybrid wars where both cyber and conventional kinetic armed forces are used. In some instances, adversaries using cyber attacks to distract or prepare the battle or to distract or prepare the battle space for a conventional attack. So I have just highlighted a few of the problems. I'll have another session on Africa cyber security, and then I'll move on to discuss other issues that affect us, issues of the day of today, which are also issues tomorrow. So thank you for listening, and I hope to be seeing you soon.